Y2k, of course, is a film that came out recently to some not so good reviews, but we'll talk about that right now. As Metacritic has it 50%, IMDb has it 5.2 out of 10, and 42% of Google users like the movie. So obviously, not that good. Now, Rotten Tomatoes has it not that much different. It's 43% by critics and 50% by the people. Now, of course, me personally, I like this movie. I really did. I went into the movie thinking it was gonna be like a 50%. I didn't see the reviews, so I didn't like go in thinking it was already gonna be a bad movie. But considering it's Y2K and all that stuff, I thought it's not gonna be that good. I liked it. I really did. Now, of course, the non-spoiler review. The essential plot is it's essential coming of age story. Eli and Danny obviously want to be with the cool kids and all that stuff. So they go to a party, to have drinks. They have the bully characters, all this stuff, until obviously the year 2000 hits, and then all the electronics gain a sentience and start taking over the world, and they have to fight back basically. So obviously, a weird premise, obviously, but it is a horror comedy. Me personally, I like the jokes. I really did. It reminds me kind of like the super bad movies. I don't know what kind of genre that is, but it reminds me kind of those genres. Now, is it as good as super bad? No, but at the end of the day, you try to compare it to super bad, it's not gonna be anywhere close, man. It's not. But I really like the jokes here. I really like the way they bounce off each other, especially this guy. In the cast, he plays Farkas, obviously played by Eduardo Franco. People know him as the guy who played, the store employee in those phone commercials that they had. Dude, to be honest, he works really well in this type of movie. He does really, really well. I like him. He's arguably the more funnier guy, but everyone else, they do pretty good. Now, of course, the thing is the horror aspect, kind of. It's horror comedy, but it's not really that horror. They have some good kills, to be honest. They have some good kills. You think like, damn, that's pretty good, right? But the bad part is the dialogue. Unfortunately, the dialogue, I'm sorry to say this, but the second the comedy and the essential horror aspect, runs out and they have to actually start talking like regular human beings, this movie falls flat on its face. It drops the ball, man. It was so close to being an amazing movie. I liked it. It's funny, but it just drops the ball like in the second half. It sucks, right? They're right there, but they dropped it, right? But besides that, I liked it. It's a funny movie. Unfortunately, it starts running on fumes in the second half. It starts running out of steam, obviously, and that's what kind of brings it down. Now, of course, a lot of them have it around 50%, 40% in terms of their ratings, right? I could kind of see it because it's one of those movies that if you don't like it, then you really won't like it. But I personally gave it, I'm confused on a 7.5 to an 8 because although like I said, it falls flat on its face in the second half. Dude, the first half is pretty funny. I'm be real with you. It's my type of humor. There's a lot of stuff like, that's pretty funny, right? Nothing like, but also mostly because of, not feeling like people are going to think of me as weird. Like, oh, this man's laughing in the movie theater. How bad. He's a weird kid, right? But whatever. People were laughing in the theater. People seem to enjoy this one, right? But besides that, that's the essential end of the spoiler-free review. Now we're going to get into the spoilers. Now, of course, like I said, the essential plot, obviously, some people trying to get laid during the events of Y2K. Now, of course, the bad part is they kill off Farkas really early. Like, don't get me wrong, he's funny, and the way he dies is so dumb. Oh my god, man, I was laughing when he died. It was so dumb. So if people either forgot how he died, because it's really early on in the movie. I think it's like halfway into the movie where he unfortunately passes away. So they're supposed to leave to this one little warehouse, supposedly a safe haven, right? Because obviously all the electronics are going haywire. So obviously they're going to go to a place that has no technology, which is some abandoned place, right? And this dude has roller skates, right? He's like, oh, I'm gonna shred this, right? And he sees a broken, those basketball things that they have people, have in their yard or whatever. He tries to grind on it, he falls and dies. Dude, it's so dumb, man. It kills him off like that, which sucks. It sucks because he would, dude. If they would have kept him I feel like maybe it would have been a lot better in the second half. I feel like the second he died, like a little bit afterwards, you start feeling it being gone, and especially the best friend of Eli being Danny. He's pretty funny himself, you know, and he unfortunately passes away too. I feel like Danny and Farkas, if they would have stayed together, they would have done amazing. Now, of course, there's also this other guy, Ash, and they don't really CJ, right? And CJ is pretty good for the most part in terms of acting, right? You know, he tries to make it seem like I'm not that into it, not that deep as a character, right? But it makes sense because he plays like a stoner guy, and it makes sense. He plays a stoner, so obviously you don't expect him to be this deep philosophical man. But when it's time for him to start doing that, it it sucks. Like I said, it falls flat on his face, man. It sucks. You know, his lack of depth, I guess you could say, kind of gets exposed, especially because he passes away too, right? So when it's time for him to start talking about, you know, him dying, I guess it's still comedy, right? So it's not gonna be that serious. But come on, it could have been a little bit better, right? But he's funny too. I just wish that Farkas and Danny would have survived, which I get it. You know, it's supposed to be technically still a horror movie, so some people have to get murked, right? But for the most part, the side characters are somewhat funny. This Garrett guy, he's the stoner of, you know, the video shop, right? He's pretty funny for the most part. You know, he has some funny lines. Not overall the funniest guy, but he's pretty funny. You know, the premise. Oh, not to mention the actual monsters in the movie. It's basically a computer is basically taking over a bunch of wires and other electronics, right? To go around collecting electronics so they could enslave humanity by putting chips in their heads, right? They look pretty cool. To be honest, it looks pretty well made. Now, of course, there's a whole running joke of them trying to get laid, right? So they have a condom, right? They have a condom they save, right, just in case one of them needs it. And then when Danny dies, he passes him the condom. He's like, "You have to go on without me." He passes the condom. Oh man, it's so dumb. You know, there are some parts where, you know, the jokes don't land, but at the same time, not not every comedy movie has to be funny, like from beginning to end, right? But they have more jokes that will probably land for you, right? But it's more of the, I don't know how to explain this type of humor. It's just dumb humor, right? It also seems like it's kind of like a parody movie at some point, you know? It's like those superhero movies, you know, also scary movie probably. Like there's certain aspects where it kind of similar to that, but at the same time it kind of be like it's kind of a horror comedy, not a parody for the most part. So it's a welcome addition. They don't use too much of it, so it's always good, you know. But yeah, the worst part of the movie, which brings it down a lot, is the dialogue in the second half. Because when they actually have to start talking and no longer making jokes and all that stuff, it falls flat on its face, man. It sucks. I was liking it, but then it started going to dialogue. I was like, all right. But it has good kills. The characters are funny. Unfortunately, the main characters aren't funny. You know, Rachel Zegler and or Laura in the character's name and Eli, they're not the funniest one. It's the side characters, which sucks because, you know, you hate when the side characters are funnier than the main characters, or more enjoyable to me, anyways. Because I don't know. Obviously, because their side characters not gonna get as much screen time, but yeah, it's overall pretty funny. You know, I mean, Jonah Hill actually says it produced it, so actually I see why. You know, I just said, you know, he it's similar to like one of those super bad movies in terms of like its comedy. It makes sense because it's literally a producer. It's funny though, and it's A24, which is weird, but it's a pretty funny movie. I don't get why it's ranked so low. I would get a 60%. But a 40? No, I'm starting to think they just, I don't know. But like I said, it's one of those movies that if you don't like its type style of comedy, you're going to hate this movie. It's simple as that, you know? But besides that, yeah, there's nothing much to it. I would give it a 7.5. I liked it a lot. I found it funny. But the second half, you know, it fails to meet expectations, right? The first half is amazing. Second half, not so much. But yeah, you could say it's diet super bad, as you could say. Maybe something like that. Probably you're going to say that. But yeah, besides that, I liked this movie. I really did. You know, I came into the theater thinking it wasn't going to be that good. People were already talking smack about it. I liked it. I really did. You know, if you're in the if you have one of those subscription services where it gives you like a free movie tickets, you should, if you have nothing to watch, you should probably use it on Y2k. You know, I would even say it's a movie worth Discount Tuesday, you know. But besides that, yeah, I would recommend this movie. It's a pretty funny one. You know, although it kind of fails in the second half, it doesn't matter. The first half makes it up. You know, it carries the slack, even though it's the first half, right? But besides that, that's the end of the review. Hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this movie. I'd like to hear your opinions down below if you have watched it. If you didn't like it, I would actually like to know why, because obviously it seems like the majority of people did not like the movie. But besides that, hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll catch you in the next one.